Welcome back, guys, and yes, you read the title correctly. I am now a community contributor for World of Warships, and in this video I want to talk about why now. I have in the past really wanted to be a community contributor. This was primarily before all the growth happened on YouTube, and I was not big enough. I also had a bit of a arrogant attitude, so justifiably was not in the program. And then as my YouTube channel blew up, we of course had that gigantic CC controversy in Exodus alongside Little White Mouse and everything that went along there. And I decided to not apply anymore. I didn't want to join the program until I was able to observe it for several months. I wanted to see if Wargaming would make good on their promises to change, to get better at communicating, and to change how they've been monetizing the game. Less gambling, more transparency, and most importantly, to do this over an extended period of time. It's easy to change for a little bit and then revert back to the old way of doing things, but to actually meaningfully change, it takes time, and to really show it, it takes a lot of time to build back trust. So with that preamble out of the way, let's talk about why I'm joining now. Well, to start, the easiest one is I've moved. I'm now living by myself, and since YouTube has gone so well for me, I want to try being a full-time YouTuber content creator. So, like I mentioned in some of those CC drama videos, discussing the benefits of the CC program that some smaller or even larger creators were leaving behind, well, it is really beneficial to a content creator to have early access to these ships and to get videos out on the day that the NDA lifts. So this is something I've been very interested in, as a lot of you probably know already. Getting the time to review some of these ships earlier on helps a ton for a YouTube channel. It's also a huge benefit to gain access to press accounts that have everything unlocked to test things and try out some weird combinations that will make really interesting, fun YouTube videos, but the amount of time required to grind these things out or to do it on a normal account would take a ton of money invested in doubloons and grinding time. So I hope that with these benefits, I'll be able to make some better videos on YouTube and maybe have some very fun and interesting streams to go along with them. Alongside these benefits for me, there's also benefits for you. There's going to be a lot of giveaways potentially on this channel now, sponsored by Wargaming through this CC program, and with each of these premium ships coming into the game when I do a review, I'll actually be able to give one away at the same time as well, which I think is a really cool ability to learn about a ship and potentially be able to win one for yourself. So that's the first reason, pretty simple one, that I'm trying to do this content creation thing full time, and being a CC will definitely help with that. But this is all obvious stuff that we already knew and has been pretty consistent about the CC program. The problem, of course, comes to my opinion. Is my opinion now bought by Wargaming? Am I a shill? Am I going to say nothing bad about the game ever again? Well, this was a concern I had, and in fact, one of the major reasons I didn't want to join the CC program, since the value of a content creator, the value of a YouTuber, I really do believe lies in the trust that the audience has with me. Trusting that my opinion is my own. What you're hearing is completely my own thoughts, not paid for or bought by anyone. So in my discussions with Wargaming, specifically, I've been talking to Bogsy, one of the NA community managers. This is something I've brought up multiple times as a worry of mine, and every time he has assured me that that is not the case. Wargaming is not expecting me to change what I'm saying at all. So my raw thoughts and opinions on the game will continue to come out in these videos. I'm not going to be changing my narrative now that I'm getting some nice luxuries and benefits from Wargaming. Because like I mentioned, the most important thing to me about this YouTube channel is the trust that I have gained with you, the audience. And I don't want to throw that away over a few nice little luxuries here and there from Wargaming. That is not what I want to do at all. So the minute Wargaming is asking me to change the way I'm saying things, or they want to control how I'm presenting the game in my videos, that'll be the exact moment that I leave the CC program. And this is something I want you guys to hold me accountable on. I should be able to explain why I think things in this game. I should be able to clearly explain myself on any opinion that I hold in World of Warships. And if I'm not able to do this, well, that probably means it's not my opinion. I'm just saying something for someone else. So keep an eye out for that and definitely hold me accountable in the comments. I may not respond very often in the comment section, but I do read through quite a few of them, and that will be the best way to question and push back against some of the statements that I'll make, forcing me to continue to explain or make more videos talking about the subject. I really want to make sure that I don't change the way I am now just because I'm a CC. So while that was my primary concern with becoming a CC or not, that also doesn't really have much to do with the timing of things. And that's where we get to one of the third reasons that right now seems to be a decent time to join the program alongside with wanting to do this full time. And that has to do with the important messages for the World of Warships community. We got 2 of these in fall last year, and they came out after that gigantic debacle with the CC program. And the important things here are monetization and feedback and communication. In both of these, that is what Wargaming is talking about. Random mechanics, I think this is part of the monetizations. So let's talk about it. Random mechanics and monetization. Do we think that Wargaming has done better? My opinion is yes. They have very clearly demonstrated that they've learned from the Egg-in-Court. This is something I brought up with Bogsy as well in our conversations prior to me joining the CC program. I really wanted to know what was going on behind the scenes in terms of the Egg-in-Court. That ship, if you didn't know, was a ship that was released only in loot boxes. That was the only way to get it. So to me, that was gambling to get a ship. And I really didn't like that. I thought that was too far in monetization. And well, it seems like Wargaming has changed. They haven't released any more ships purely in loot boxes. There are ships in loot boxes, but not purely in those loot boxes. You can get them for other resources, oftentimes doubloons, real money, right? But at least that is an option. So in my conversation with Bogsy, after bringing this up, he did say that they had learned specifically from the Egg-in-Court situation, that they have no intentions of ever doing that again, and they've explored many other monetization options. Early access, I think, is the clearest option, where I'm not a huge fan of it, but it is a way to monetize the game, and everybody's going to get access to those ships anyway. And the only thing that is really locked behind that early access are those camos, which is just cosmetic. So in my opinion, this is a step in the right direction. They talked about it in these important messages to the community 6 months, a year ago at this point, and so far they have followed through. The other thing we got to talk about in terms of monetizations are the random mechanics. We didn't know what the drop rate was for basically every single container in the game, and they talked about releasing that and being more transparent. And as far as I've seen, Wargaming has disclosed the drop rates of new containers being added to the game alongside their announcement, as well as the previous containers that were released prior to these changes that they wanted to implement. So to me, it does seem like they have followed through with what they promised in these 2 posts. And the second part of these messages, arguably more important yet, is feedback and communication. Admittedly, this one is a little more ambiguous. It's tougher to tell if Wargaming has accomplished what they've set out to do in these 2 posts. But personally, it seems like they have done a better job at communicating. Specifically, we can look at dev blogs, looking at ships being introduced, balance changes in those dev blogs. I think we're getting far more frequent dev blogs and much more information in them. There's even reasoning and logic behind what the changes they're making. Rather than just announcing a change, they're saying why they're changing it, which I think is a huge step in the right direction. I've also noticed in the general news for World of Warships, there's much more detail in the posts being made, especially when it comes to update notes. Looking at new updates, we get a lot more information on new things being added to the game, changes being made, balancing decisions. There's a lot more information there. So I think communication has definitely improved. There's still room to improve some more. Obviously, I don't think you can ever have perfect communication, especially when it's an online worldwide game where developers and players all speak many, many different languages and are from many different cultures. But I'm of the opinion that communication has improved since these posts. As far as feedback is concerned, it's, again, hard to tell, possibly even more difficult to tell than communication, since we don't get to see how Wargaming sees our feedback. We don't get to know what they're looking at, what they aren't looking at from the outside. But I think they're doing a better job. As far as the communication and what we're seeing from Wargaming, I think they would have to be looking at more of our feedback and taking that into account when coming out with dev blogs and updates and news articles on the website. So for me, this was a big deal in becoming a CC. Looking at what Wargaming's done over the last 6 months to a year after they've made some big promises about changing their ways, and I think they've done a pretty good job. Not perfect, but we can't expect them to be perfect. I think they have done a more than adequate job, and that's why I am wanting to be a CC now. There's a lot of benefits for me as well, like I've talked about, and the timing seems to make sense for me, but I also wanted to point this out that Wargaming has had a pretty good track record for the last 6 months to a year since these messages. It's important to watch after someone makes a lot of promises that they're going to change. Sometimes this can slide and promises aren't upheld, but for the most part, it seems like Wargaming has made a massive effort to change and do better in terms of communication, and especially in monetization and random loot box mechanics. That one I can definitely point to and say they've done a great job of changing how they're dealing with monetization and distribution of new content. And last but not least, I got some advice from Little White Mouse herself in a YouTube comments from, well, 8 months ago now. I've waited, I have been watching, but I think now is a good time for me personally to join the CC program. I feel pretty good about it. I don't really have many concerns left other than what you guys have to say. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of me joining the CC program. Maybe what you think of the CC program in general. Do you notice Wargaming has done a better job since they made all those promises? Maybe you think they've done worse. I really would like to know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, I might not respond to all of them, but I'll definitely be reading through them today and really trying to get your feedback. I'll also be streaming over on my Twitch channel, so if you want to say hi, ask me some questions live, I'll be there for a few hours this morning after this video goes out. So thank you very much for watching all these years now of content. I really, really do appreciate it. And let me know. I think this is a very interesting opportunity for me to produce better content for you guys. And hopefully it isn't going to change my opinions at all on the game. Again, keep me accountable. Don't let me change. I still want to be the same content creator that you guys have been watching for a few years now.